They're calling it the best thing that's happened to board games since Rodney Smith. That's right, it's episode 3 of Board Games Direct, the series where myself and my good pal Matthew Lees take you through everything new and exciting in the world of board games. Importantly, these are paid previews, not our usual reviews, but we do still think that you'll have a good chance of finding something that you like, that's cool and nice. Maybe a shiny rock or an old photograph of a loved one. Or perhaps a very large board game about harvesting flax that has a 70-page rulebook and seemingly no determined end. Today's video is of course showing off a whole load of crunchy Euro-style games. If you're interested in turning a cube into a larger cube, or making your points soar through well-deployed action efficiencies, or simply getting a whole load of bits and chits all over your kitchen table, then this is the category for you. This is a genre that does get its fair share of playful teasing, but we really do think that this particular selection of big crunchy games shows off a huge variety of exciting themes and interesting mechanics. And as always, if you are interested in learning any more about any of the games that are shown, there is a link in the description that'll take you directly to the source. Of course, that source is brown sauce. All right, time to talk about some really big games.
This is the very first board game we have in today's video, and it is called The Game Makers by Bezier Games, and it's a very strange thing indeed that you might have heard about. If you haven't, then look at this. It's basically a game about making board games.
It's a game about making board games.
And, crucially, it features hundreds of cards, all of which are actual
board games. It's kind of crazy the amount of different games what am in this box.
Yeah, so already I am currently in my fictionalized setup of the game working on Concordia, Azul, and Avalon.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good run-up.
I'm making Food Chain Magnate Oath and El Grande.
That's just showing off, frankly.
And look, here is my collection of board games that I've already manufactured. Each player's going to have their own little shelving unit that's going to have all their games. I've got Fromage, Frosthaven, and Friedrich. I'm Friedman Fries, baby!
You're Friedman Fries +1.
Yeah, I'm alternative Friedman Fries. I'm alt universe. Yeah, so it's a game about making board games, but not just making any old board games, making actual board games what exist in the real world.
Yep.
How does it work? It's really simple. Play is almost completely simultaneous, and what you're going to do is you're going to pick up one of your little forklifts in the current wedge of the board, and then pop it in any one of these little wedges ahead of it.
But there's a rub here.
But there's a rub.
It's a rub that Tom has already told me about.
I've told you about this rub.
Yeah, you're not going to get those forklifts back until this rondel of
Truth and Justice
turns around.
Wham.
In the final version, it looks like they've got a magnet turny thing. The magnet turning thing is still a little bit prototypey, so we're going to be turning it finger style like an old rotary telephone, which arguably is just as fun.
Yes, we didn't clarify at the start, but this is a prototype version of the game. A lot of the shape of it is going to look similar, but they're going to be refining all kinds of bits and bobs in it. Now, when you have placed your little forklift, what do you get from doing that? Well, you get a resource.
Yes.
And as you can see, you get a level 1, a level 2, or a level 3 resource, depending on how far away you placed your little forklift
So
truck.
if your forklift goes really far around, then you're going to get more of that thing.
Yes.
But
catching up with it is going to be a pain.
You only get those forklifts back at the point at which the rotatey thing catches up with them.
All of these resources can be used in 2 different ways. They can either be used as components, where they sit on this little part of the board, and they'll be used to make the board games that you've got in your little production line, or they can be used to upgrade the different parts of your factory. So here you can see these little wooden meeple-y pieces. You can either use them as ingredients in making games, or you can use them to do little bits of worker placement and get some bonuses around your factory. Cards are often a requirement to make games, but they are also the contracts that you will be actually putting down on your board and turn them into finished products. Punchboard is again a similar cost, or you can pop it into your assembly line like this, and if you ever make a group of the same thing, then you're going to get a little discount on that thing when it comes to spending it. And a nice little detail here that I like, the 1-size punchboards to have 1 little symbol. The 2-size punchboards, they've got 2 little symbols. The 3-size ones, oh, they're in a little weird shape. And so you have to kind of like jostle them into place to make sure that you get the 3 in a row that you need.
Right, so it's juicy, but it's a bit more complicated.
Yes. And there's also a nice little thing where there are these things called tweenies, which I think is an industry term for like a little production line thing.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. It sounds like a weird word. I'm not sure about it. It sounds like a kids' TV show.
It is a kids' TV show.
Well, there we go.
But it's also a part of assembly line manufacturing, evidently. You place these on the little junction points between your punch board, which I just thought was really cute.
Classic factory style. You've got to get
style.
your little kids and put them between the cogs of the machine.
Oh. Plastic pieces can also be used in your games, or you can use them to make these little buildings that'll give you ongoing bonuses, and the dice need to be used for contract fulfillment, or they can be used to boost your marketing in these specific genres of game, so at the end of this game, you'll get more points for specific genres that are in your little shelf. You can also plant trees in a little plant tree area, which often means you need to give up a bunch of components, you're sort of recycling them in order to fill these little bonuses, and at the end of the game, you're going to score your sort of big shelf of board games based on these criteria at the bottom. So you want to make sure you have a somewhat cohesive selection of games that also covers all bases and is going to kind of represent you as a publisher. I think that's basically everything here.
Yeah.
That is The Game Makers, a slightly bonkers project.
A real curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Philharmonix, and I was telling Tom just the other day how much I adore the film The Fifth Element. And a key scene in that film features a big old alien opera. And this is a game in which we have a big old alien orchestra.
Yes.
Ready to be formed from around the galaxy and ready to play some presumably banging tunes.
Some absolute heaters.
So Tom, please tell me about this game.
Yeah, I've deliberately not told you much about this one because it has quite an interesting thematic sort of teach to it that I'm quite looking forward to telling you about. And also, people might be a bit worried because this game looks absolutely flipping massive.
Yeah, it does on the B cam. It's hard to tell the difference between B cam and A cam. Really, this is just everything.
There's a lot going on. It's too big for our tiny table.
You know, I got to point this out. I'm going to just actually hover this over to the middle of the table briefly so people can see this. This, of course, is
what a beautiful cardboard construction.
I can't remember what it's called. I wanted to call it the pit, but it's only in the pit if it's at the front of a...
The pit's like when you're in the bottom bit. It's like a pit, but it's up.
An up pit.
Like a orchestra bleachers.
A hill.
Okay, so how does this game work? You are trying to create an alien orchestra. You are going to be flying around the galaxy, recruiting new musicians, training them up, getting better at composing different symphonies, gathering fans, making money, trying to earn prestige. This little musical note track over here. Now, before I talk about anything else, I want to talk about the action structure because I think it's very cool. On your turn, you're going to use your very human-looking manager over here to take one of these different actions, these blue circles on the board over here.
If we're going to be realistic about this, if humans are involved, then there's no way that they're not muscling in and trying to take charge of everything.
They're just taking the money off the top. That's their role in this game. So you'll choose one of these actions and then you will take it and you keep taking actions round and round until the round is over when everyone passes. Now,
so these are the different types of actions.
Yes, and you'll notice there's these little tiles that show you how many action points this action costs. So right now, this action here is going to cost me 2 action points, which means I need to move this cog over here, and when I get to my action point limit, I cannot take any more actions. You can do a little sneaky thing though, where you can exceed it on a turn, only once, but then you'll lose some points afterwards because you've been naughty.
Because you're exhausted.
This number as well determines how strong the action is going to be.
I was going to say, I love a Eurogame as much as the next Eurogame lover, but this spreadsheet of action delimiters is kind of quite overwhelming.
Yeah, the main thing is that each one of these actions is actually the same across all of these things. It just will change in intensity depending on this number next to it. You're always taking the same action, it just gets better the more action points you spend on it. The thing is, each round these are going to be randomized. So you have to balance that kind of opportunistic, I'm going to jump on the, action point experience thing now, or I'm going to go and perform this round because it's extra lucrative. But it's strange because it's not necessarily better or worse, it's just more action points for more action.
Right.
It's interesting, it's tricky. I read it in the manual and went,
Yeah, as is often the way with games like this. Looks complicated. Actually quite simple.
Actually pretty simple.
Actually quite simple.
And now I'll just explain what the different actions do to give you a bit of flavour of what you're going to be doing on your turn by turn. Action number 1, impress some patrons. Here are your patrons over here on this side of the board, ready to be impressed by your music. If you get them on board, then they're going to give you a little special action that you can take, so it's sort of like they're funding your music. And they'll also get you some points if you match the kind of music they like. Then you have this little thing down here, which will let you get experience and increase your action point limit.
Yeah.
Experience is here, and you kind of track it on this little thing here.
Oh, yeah.
And initially I thought it was just for increasing your action point limit, but turns out it's kind of a versatile currency you can spend in lots of different ways. So you might use it to get more actions, you might use it to make your orchestra better or your conductor better, all kinds of stuff.
I've only just clocked now, at this point into this, so I'm mentioning it just in case there's anyone else out there who's being a bit of a doofus today, that this isn't just like a shared area board, this is your player board.
Yeah, this is your personal player board.
If we were playing properly, I would have one of those
You'd
in front
have
of
your
me,
own little
my own
orchestra.
one. That's a game changer.
Sorry, I forgot to explain that.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I'm just like, oh, that's not a communal thing. I get my own.
You get your own one of these with your own little top hats, your own little action point, your own little symphony that you're constructing.
Okay.
The next action.
I'm kind of annoyed now that we're doing this preview thing because I just want to be like, let's
play this right now.
Play this.
The next action you have, I'm going to skip over perform because it's the action that everything sort of builds towards. You have this action here, which lets you promote your various musicians. You'll see they have a little star value on them. So I have some 1-star musicians, some 0-star musicians. I can make them a little bit better by spending experience.
That's me.
I've heard you on the bongos. You're 5 stars.
Thanks, buddy. That's kind.
The next thing you can do is compose some symphonies, where you take these little pieces of music. I like to think that these are the different colours of music. I'm specialising in green music this round.
I'm headcanoning it that you're just putting together the worst MIDI in the world. All this Fruit Loops.
Yeah. You can later on, you can kind of promote these different pieces of music into different rows to show you getting more accomplished at the different genres of music that different places in the galaxy are craving. At the bottom, you have a thing that lets you recruit new musicians from this little puddle over here. You can grab some standard like guitar players, some saxophonists, some drummers, or you can recruit the special soloist musicians or the very well-trained musicians from different parts of the galaxy, so you can kind of schlep around picking up different people, putting them in your little pit like so. Lovely. And all of this is building towards performing, where you race your little ship around to different planets, and then you say, hey, I'm going to perform in this place. This is the demand, this is what people are after in this little section of the galaxy, and the more of that you meet, the better, the more money you get, the more prestige you get, the more well-loved you are in the wider alien music community.
So that's Philharmonix, isn't it? You're a game about being a intergalactic travelling troupe of musicians.
Yes, absolutely. There's a solo mode, and there is also a little module where you press records. Madness. Madness.
This is bagged and bordered, an exciting looking Eurogame in which you are collecting comic books.
You're a little child collecting comics with your pocket money.
Yes, which means everything costs basically nothing. We're going to be buying comics for 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents because we're...
Your end game score in this game might be something like $9, which I think is delightful. It's more money than a child could possibly dream of.
I don't know what to spend it on.
No, probably more comics. Yeah, you're right. In this game, you're a child collecting comics, and you're ultimately trying to make nice little sets. A proud display of your most favourite comics. Here I've got 3 issues of The Troll.
Oh, 3 issues of The Troll.
Oh my
Absolutely
goodness.
spectacular.
I should point out before we start that there are a whole load of different comics that you can collect in this game, and they're all kind of delightful.
Yes.
I really like Diversion Man over here, who's been stopped by this strange thing that he's painted onto the wall. You've got the Jock, you've got this Garfield ripoff, Garfunkel, who I think is delightful. There's just a lot to love. There's just a lot to love.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So as in real life, as a child, your only real economy that you have to worry about, in addition to, pocket money, is time. What are you going to spend your time doing? And that's why we all have time cubes.
Time cubes representing each hour of a day in your life. And you are going to use these cubes to plan out your day. The game takes place over 2 phases, a planning phase and an execution phase that we go through over and over and over again until the game ends and someone has their most beautiful set of comics and is the winner. In the planning phase, you put out little cubes in turn order on any of the spaces that you want to visit. So I might want to just do shed loads of chores this round and dump out loads of cubes here. Or I might want to travel to the convention down here, which would mean that I have to spend cubes traveling, and then I have to spend cubes doing the stuff that I want to do.
There's a nice wrinkle to this in the fact that, as you can see, there's different locations on the board. So home, the comic convention, and then up here the comic store. And the fact that like just going to these places costs you units of time.
Yes.
So you have to try and make it worth your while?
Yeah, but once you've travelled there, you can kind of do as much as you want, but then you might not have the funds to do everything that you want. You might not have the pocket money to buy every single comic in the comic store.
Ideally, you want to go to the comic convention when you've got tons of money and you can just buy loads of things and get loads of autographs and get your comics graded. But in reality,
you're a child.
You're a child.
Once everyone has placed out all of their cubes, you're then going to resolve all of those different areas of the board one by one. And I'll give you a little bit of flavour about what each of these different areas does.
Yeah.
Like we said, at home you can do chores to make yourself some pocket money, or you can sit at the computer and mail order in some bits and bobs. The comic store is where a lot of the action takes place, because as you can see, you have these nice displays of comics.
Yeah.
You can buy them from the loose pile, which means they're nice and cheap. They cost half price, or you can buy them bagged, where they cost a little bit more, but they are already in their nice little sleeve, ready for display. An interesting thing here is that at the end of the round, anything that you don't buy is going to slide into the bargain bin.
Yes.
So if you remember what's in there, you might fish out that Garfunkel issue you saw going a while ago to finish your set that you've created later on in the game. Once you're done at the comic store, you can head on down to the comic convention, where you can look at this swag pile that slowly accumulates, or you can get a little sneak preview at upcoming comics.
Right, yeah.
This is an interesting space because you can buy them for 20 cents.
You can buy one comic for 20 cents when you're here, but really you're going there just to see what's going to be in the shop next round.
Exactly.
So you can like work out what money you need and how early you need to go in the player turn.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could look through this sneak preview and say, actually, there's loads of stuff I'm interested in, and you could try and get first at the turn order so that when it comes out here, you're going to be first at the door, ready to buy that issue of that crossover issue between Catamaran Man and Connectobots. So that's delightful. You then have these really funny spaces. The autographing space lets you take one of these charming little acrylic autographs that you can stick on one of your comics to say, I did this.
So this is still a prototype version of the game, so the components might not be final.
They might change.
Lovely idea, just being able to put these transparent little autographs onto the comics to be like, I got it signed.
I got it signed. And then it's worth even more money if you then want to sell it, or if you wanted to put it in your collection. And then you have the option to grade your comics, which is once you create a complete set that sits on top of your board, you can put one of these absolutely delightful chunky grading components on them to say, that's my set.
So we can get our set of trolls and have them professionally graded.
Read them and weep.
High quality trolls. Or you can't prove they're not, because I've had it officially done now.
The day then ends with you coming back home to maybe turn some of your loose comics into bagged comics, painstakingly putting them all in their little sleeves, or displaying your stuff. And if you display things, you also get one of these special power cards that can be quite game defining. They give you like some special ability. When we played this, I had the ability to take extra stuff from the swag pile, for example.
Well, as you'd expect though, once you've put the comics into your personal collection, you can't sell them or do other things with them because they are like, done. But in between that, there's all sorts of manner of things going on. And the cool thing is that when you put things into a collection, that's the point where the popularity of the heroes changes. And that's why this section of the board at the bottom is pretty neat. The hero values start off with 10 cents a comic, moving up to $1.50 a comic.
My goodness.
And I really like the transition here of like baby, child, teenager, man, old man, mega brain, and then like infinity mode. I don't know, of like having this like that tier list of like superheroes in a way.
Gets to the end and you're sort of a biblically accurate angel.
Yes, exactly.
There's also these endgame scoring criteria that also change certain things. So for example, you get extra money for having issue number 1 of any given set in your game, so you really want to dig for those particular comics. And there's this interesting sort of game of trying to remember what people have in their piles, because if they might sell them, you might just scoop them out of the bargain bin or something like that. And there's a nice little ability to go to bed early, so you become first in the turn.
It's immediately very evocative, just the fact that you're like, is it worth spending my time going to look through the bargain bin just in case there's something in there that I really want? Is sweet.
Yeah, or should I just go to bed?
Should I just go to bed? I'm a bit tired. I mean, these are the sorts of questions I ask myself every day.
And you're not a child collecting comics. Imagine if you were. That's bagged and boarded.
This is JISOGI, a Eurogame about making your own anime studio and trying to make money whilst doing that. You're going to be following the trends of what's hot in the world of anime and trying to basically capitalize on that and make money.
Yes, because
Now-
if you don't make enough money, you won't be able to pay your sad little workers
Yes.
who live in your studio and make your animes for you.
Yeah, so a fun detail is at the start of the game, all of your workers are dead inside.
Relatable.
Yeah, they're just completely burnt out husks who have had enough of doing everything. Guess it is like that sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit capitalist realist there. Ooh, I don't like it.
Another bit of delightful capitalist realist is in this game. You can make money without actually releasing things. It's
Yes.
a lovely little rub of the fact that you have all these different actions that you can take on your turn by placing one of your staff into one of these different areas on the board.
The different actions are fairly simple. You've got research that lets you take some of these little pieces of story that you can socket into your anime. I'm making a space colony anime with a complicated love triangle, but the twist is a cult is secretly manipulating all of their lives.
Again, one of the reasons I was interested in looking at this is because I am something of an anime enjoyer in my spare time, and honestly, all the combinations here are imaginably like animes.
Yeah.
Mine's a noir detective where a scientist has triggered an awful catastrophe.
Oh, no.
And the noir detective has an unbelievable talent for a radical sport, like skateboarding, presumably.
I could see it happen.
Again, I think it probably exists already.
So yeah, the actions you can take, you can go and write or research, which gets these little story blocks you can socket into your anime. You can staff, you can either hire new staff or you can unlock the passions of your existing staff and turn them into super-powered versions of themselves. You can network, that gets you little special bonuses, or you can make the art for your anime.
You can get around to like animating it or outsourcing the art.
And I love that you can only make as much art as you have story elements. So if you just have the setting, you can only do one bit of art because it's like, we don't really know what this is yet.
So I'll shuffle this over here so you can have a little look at my board. And effectively, you can have these three different things that eventually you need to create an anime. So a setting, a plot, and then a twist. You've got
a skateboarding twist.
But yeah, you can initially just not really have much going on and just commission art even though you don't really know what you're making yet. And also you can start selling merch for things even though you haven't released it yet, which again is just, it's a lovely detail. Clearly something that has been put together by someone who has an awful lot of love for anime.
Yeah, I think you can see a lot of that love in the art as well. Like these trend cards down here, these are the sort of things you're shooting for with your anime. So right now, people want these kinds of genres. And look at all this like amazing, like full, massive, chunky art with this fun like foil on it as well.
Gorgeous.
It's so good. When we played it, we just took the cards even though you're not meant to because it just felt good having these fancy anime posters in front of you.
In the manual, what happens when you're supposed to finish it? Do you take the poster? No, and we're like, well...
We do.
I want to keep it, so I'm going to keep it over here.
Yeah, if you're the first to fulfill these, then you get a little bonus, and that's kind of something that fits with the rest of the game. If you're like first to the post, then you're going to get some extra points, and I like this rotating sort of cast of trends here. When trends happen, they're sort of immediate and exciting, and they're worth lots of bonus points. Then they become less alluring over time, but then they kind of come back into like trend again, as people are like, oh, I really want that kind of thing to watch now.
Yeah, it's a nice little
It's
mechanic.
been a while.
It's a mechanic in the fact that like, it means that early on you can be like, oh, I can't achieve that right now. But you know that within the game there's a very good chance that you're going to get a chance to achieve it again for maximal points.
Unless someone gets there first.
Yeah.
And there's also like a lovely touch where at the end of every round you have to pay all of your staff and manage all your finances. And this is one of those Euro
It's not lovely
games.
at all. It's not nice. It's absolutely painful.
Because you have to take a lot of debt, probably.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where quite immediately the amount of money that you need to do things properly means that you're going to be taking lots of these debt cards.
Lots of debt, lots of realising that you paying your staff quite tremendous amounts of money and you still haven't released anything. And you're being propped up on merch for something that might never actually come out.
Yeah. That's JISOGI Anime Studio Tycoon, a game about making animes with your pals. Gee, blimey, Matt, I'm getting a little tired from teaching all these board games in the previews.
You really have been doing the lion's share of learning these games and explaining them. So
But you
now,
got this one?
I'll teach you this game.
Yes!
It's called Board Butler, and it's just some pieces of plastic.
This is the right kind of complexity for you, isn't
With
it?
the rules out of the way, let's just play. So I'm always a bit skeptical about things because I'm a skeptic by heart. That's what I am. And when I first saw these, I thought, well, I don't know what the point of those is. But actually, they're quite nifty.
They're real nifty.
These are little things that come in a little bag with a moustache picture on it. Proof. And basically, the way it works is the idea is if you have a board which is being annoying and is not
stubborn,
being as flat as you want.
Oh, look, it's a little wobbly bobbly. My components will slide right off.
Well, it's a touch wobbly bobbly. If you're bothered by that, then you can literally just use these things, and they stop that from happening. And especially if you put them all around the edge, then yeah, they basically de-wobble
your board.
Your board.
Ooh, yeah.
Again, admittedly, this might be like, you know, the same level of being boring as like getting excited about a good extension lead.
But I love a good
extension lead, right? But I mean, you're already watching a video about some crunchy Euro games that you might not have known about. So
this is for you.
This is probably for you. Honestly, they work very well. They're very neat. And also, like, you know, if you do have a beloved game that just has a board that is irritatingly shonky through either some sort of production error or you just having treated it badly over the years, which is
more likely, isn't it, really?
The second thing I'd say about these, though, is particularly you can use them on very small boards and they level out.
Yeah.
So we found that, like, if you want to play a game like with a small board like this in like a setting that usually you'd struggle to, like a picnic table, we found that when we tried these on smaller boards, they kind of act like added a massive level of rigidity to it. Allows you to play games on surfaces that are otherwise uneven.
Unsurfaceable.
They kind of act as a scaffold for the rest of it. That means that, yeah, we were able to play games in the pub on one of those really, you know, when they have those very traditional, like fancy, like
knobbly-bobbly pub tables.
Knobbly-bobbly table.
It was rustic.
But yeah, you just whack them on, put it on the edge, and it basically acts as like a kind of a
little flattener,
a foundation.
Yeah, especially when you got a new game and it kind of does that like tenting thing where like when you put a little piece on, it kind of slides down.
And it depends how bothered you are. It depends how bothered you are by that. Yeah. But if you are bothered by that, or if you just want something in your travel bag so you can play tiny board games on wooden tables anywhere, then yeah.
You can get them in a 12-pack, you can get them in a 6-pack, and they come in a little dinky bag. Throw it in your knapsack.
It's one of those things where, like, this seems ridiculous, but this is a ridiculous hobby. And if you feel like you need some, then maybe you do.
Maybe you do.
This is Silos, a game about being a perfectly normal alien that definitely isn't abducting people at quite an alarming rate.
A perfectly ordinary human who isn't an alien who is abducting people with a big old UFO.
Isn't that what I said?
Oh. This is the first game in Bitewing Games' Reiner Knizia space game trilogy, the Cosmic Silos trilogy, and here is where it gets its namesake. Silos, secret interlopers from outer space.
Really love their acronyms.
I know, they're crazy for that one.
Yeah, but this basically involves you being aliens like in a trench coat. You can see on these miniatures, they are two different sides. They are on one half, they are people, on the other side, it's just some aliens pretending.
Yes. Ba 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 ba! It's two aliens stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. Delightful.
And the idea is you're basically trying to infiltrate like human society.
Yes.
Via the medium of like, what are they? It's like
focus groups?
Yeah, by the medium of focus groups. You know, to talk
and
about
abductions. Don't forget about the abductions.
Yeah, you get people involved in focus groups to ask them about human Tupperware, I guess, and then you abduct them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are ultimately trying to collect the most of these societal power emblems. As soon as someone gets 5 of them, I believe, the game is over, but you might manage to get a few sneaky extra ones here and there, and that would make you the actual winner. The way the game works is real simple. On your turn, you are going to do 2 things. You may move your totally not aliens around this board up to 2 spaces, following these little paths between stuff. So if I was the purple player, I could either go 1, 2, or I could maybe go 1, 2, like that, and shuffle these pieces around the board. Then you must play a card. You either play a card from the shared deck over here, or you use one of your own little special power cards, which have some of the most distressingly delightful art in the game.
Yes.
Look at this alien who is a baby, or this, hello fellow kids.
I want to be this alien. That's my goal in life.
Especially like this one that's a fire hydrant.
Oh yeah.
Very, very silly.
Very sweet.
You do, however, only get each of these cards, your little personal ones, once for the entire game. So timing when you use these is interesting. Most of the time you're just going to be playing one from the deck. And then depending on what the card is, you're going to socket it in one of these spaces around the board. Yeah. So you can sort of keep track of how many cards have been seen.
Yeah, like these little bits around the edge of the board, these little green card slot nubbins are effectively just a reminder reminders of how many of each type of card there is in the deck.
Yeah, so you can see there's a whole bunch of these UFO advancing cards, but there is only one of the everyone gets to use all of their powers card. That's not going to come up that often. Now, a lot of the game is driven by these cards, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. One of them is the UFO advancement card, which means you shuffle a little UFO along like this to the next space in a clockwise order, and then whoever has the most influence in this location is going to get to take the cow.
Moo.
In this game, cows are wild, like they are in real life. I'll explain how that works a little later on. Don't do that face! Yes, so the other kinds of card are these marked specimen cards that let you fill up these focus groups, and again, whoever has the most influence gets to take their pick of the humans there, and the other ones will let you activate the powers of the spaces. There is an all powers card that will activate every single space, depending on who has the most influence, but there's also cards that will let you just activate one power of your choice, where you have the most influence. And they'll let you do all kinds of strange things, like the bus station lets you move everyone around the board, the police station lets you lock up all of someone's aliens and keep them in jail. The shopping mall just lets you put loads of people on the board, or the town hall lets you change the turn order for tiebreakers. Very important stuff.
So really you're just trying to manipulate this board state to have control in the right positions for when you hope these cards pop up and actually allow you to activate those.
But you'll never know for sure unless you do know for sure, because the cards are kind of visible on the table. It's all about being in the right place at the right time, isn't it? There's also some optional expansion stuff that you can get alongside this. You've got crop circles that you can put on certain spaces to take a permanent bit of influence on them. And you have this special module that gives each player their own unique player power if you control a location with your little special hat person. We forgot to explain the hats.
Well, I was going to say, the final thing I'd say about silos is crucially that when you are trying to take majority control of these different human areas, you can give your humans hats. And by giving them hats, they are more respected and more listened to, and therefore have more sway in the community. Which
Isn't that just true? Isn't that just true? You can send them to university and then they get one of these special mortarboards. I love that they had to go to the town hall to receive their graduation ceremony.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
It's very whimsical, isn't it?
It is.
It's all very whimsical.
So yeah, being whimsical, taking control of things by pretending to be a human, and kidnapping lots of people and cows.
That's aliens. Matt, what do you know about the Voynich manuscript?
The Voynich manuscript, it was a weird old book of made-up stuff.
Yeah, it's a strange book named after its discoverer, a bookseller called Mr. Voynich. And he found this very strange object that has all these odd, like, sort of diagrams and pictures and strange language in it.
Most of which the diagrams are kind of like, oh yeah, we know what that is, that's a human thing, but then there's other things where it's like, what's
going on there?
That's not a thing, that's not a real animal, that's not a real plant. What's going on?
It's a very strange artifact that has baffled people for many, many years, and now they've gone turned it into a board game.
Yeah, which is wild, because we still don't understand what the words mean, but they've worked out what the words are, and it's the rules for a board game.
Yeah, crazy.
This is completely fabrication, but it's a nice idea, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Voynich Puzzle. It is a Euro game based off of the Voynich manuscript, in which you are cryptographers? Is that the word? People trying to decipher this very strange manuscript. And you are doing this by making a little notebook. I'll put one in the middle of the table so you can see what will be in front of you for most of the game. This is your own little personal notebook. And you can see it has, whoa, many little pages with little cards inside of the sleeves. I'm doing a terrible job of this. Ooh, look at that. Ooh,
little cards, little sleeves.
Ooh, lovely.
These represent your actions that you can take.
It is just a funky little action selection mechanism. So on your turn in this game, you're going to flip to a new page of your notebook and you will take one of the actions on one of the two pages. But on your next turn, you must turn the page again, going somewhere else, doing some different actions.
And you can flip to any page you like in your book.
It doesn't have to be left to right style, traditional reading.
Traditional reading style. You could just have to change.
Yes, you just must change.
So you have like two actions, choice, and then you have to move on.
And also, these actions over the course of the game will become upgraded. Actually, if you want to put your little book over here, you can see what some of the actions look like. You'll remove cards, you'll flip them around, you'll make them full colour illustrations.
I'm really struggling to use my hands.
I know, it's the angle, isn't it? It's a little strange.
I'm also just trying to make sure it's not too glossy.
Yeah.
So here we are. So yeah, when they're fully upgraded, look, they're all coloured in, just like the original manuscript should have been. I mean, it wasn't full colour, was it?
I don't know.
To upgrade these things, you are going to be able to take them out of their little sheath, flip them over initially to make them just a slightly better version, and then fully flip them to get a full coloured in version, which is just mega and it's going to give you points at the end of the game,
Getting
right?
points at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, you are trying to be the person with the most overall knowledge, which is this little white marker that you can see here. You're going to do this by getting lots of knowledge in lots of different areas, but also specialising in particular areas. You can see on these cards, they'll have this little sort of point equation at the top that will convert some of your points in a specific kind of knowledge, in this case, knowledge of this part of the board, into big fancy turbo point knowledge.
And then basically each of these 6 segments of the board are kind of their own mini Eurogame.
Yeah, and each one corresponds to that double page spread in your book. So you can go down here and do botany, which is you grow this little plant and collect bonuses along the way. Similarly, you have this fountain mini game over here where you slide little drops of water into a basin, and then eventually you want to turn that water into a leaf so that the leaf goes and lives in this little pond at the bottom. This game, when I explain
Tell me something I don't know.
it makes me sound completely crazy.
I mean, yeah, Grandad needs to have a nap.
You have this astrology section over here where you can get these bonuses by placing stars and little bits of scripture, and then you can rotate this goat around,
the goat.
getting the bonuses again, so you can set yourself up with a little engine.
And the goat has, obviously, as with real goats in real life, has a kind of beam that it fires out of its head, activating things in its vicinity. The beam goat is rotating.
Run!
But if you can't run, it's fine, because you're going to get bonuses.
You're going to get some little points. You have this recipe section over here where you can send off your pieces to go and collect bonuses. You have this scripture section where you can place and upgrade little bits of text. And the thing that's kind of interesting about all of this is these pieces kind of move around the board.
Yeah.
So in the leaf section, for example, you want to put these little leaves onto the tree, but if you don't have one, you could take it from over here in the pond section or the recipe section or somewhere else. The stars are in the astrology section, but you can also use them in the little scripture section.
And these are all quite limited as resource types.
They are
go.
limited pieces.
Which means, yeah, if you want to do something cool and new on the board, you might have to take something off
somewhere else, which is
somewhere
kind
else.
of bad, but kind of good because it lets you use a different area again. Or my brain hurts.
And speaking of brain crunchy puzzles, let's look at the jigsaw puzzle in the room. This is a jigsaw puzzle.
Yes.
But it's not, because you can put it together however style you like. Which you're not allowed to do in all jigsaw puzzles. People get mad.
Yeah, you'll get booted out of the jigsaw party. Yeah, as your knowledge in each of these different areas increases, you'll socket little segments of this puzzle together, and then you'll use your magnifying glasses to move around and be on specific areas that'll let you upgrade specific parts of your book. So, for example, if I wanted to upgrade this section of my book, I would need a magnifying glass on a little 2-piece of blue, but if I wanted to upgrade this one, I'd need it on a section next to a big cluster of yellows to remove it. And these requirements get gradually more complicated over the course of the game, and the little mini game of moving your pieces around gets knottier as they run out as well. I think that's basically everything.
Yeah.
It's a game that makes you sound kind of crazy as you explain it, but it's very satisfying.
Which feels appropriate within the theme of the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the Voynich Puzzle, a game about deciphering a curious manuscript.
This is Skara Brae, a game about tidying up your house a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, tidy your room. I thought Tom was joking when he described it to me as that, but actually then he explained the rules. And honestly, excitingly, it kind of is that.
Yeah.
And Eurogames have been crying out for a now tidy up your warehouse.
A Marie Kondo game, yeah. Yeah, this is the first Eurogame I've played where cleaning up is an integral part of the board game experience. And I'm really into it. This is a relatively simple game. I'm going to give you the rough teach on how it works, talk about all the cool little weird details that I really like about this one. So Skara Brae is set 5,000 years ago in a little community off the coast of Scotland, on the Orkney Islands. And what these people would do is rather than just throw away all of their rubbish into the ether, they would form these piles of sort of rubbish that they would then ultimately dig into and make houses out of to survive the winter.
Piles.
Little trash houses. These were called midden. And here are little midden tokens in this game. They're actually really nasty and you don't want them, but you can turn them into houses.
Yes, like it's basically just composting.
It's
really.
Compost 1.0.
Yeah, you just compost it, turn it into bricks, cut out the bricks, make a house.
Yeah.
Bang! You live there now.
The game is played over 4 rounds, and each round is going to be a set of 3 card drafts followed by worker placements. So on round 1, you're going to pick a card, and you're going to place your 1 worker. And then you're going to pick a card, and then you're going to place your worker again, and so on and so forth. round 2, Matt, guess what? You got 2 workers to place.
Yeah.
Whoa!
And this worker is a smaller worker, giving the
It's a
implication
little
that it's a
worker.
child.
Yeah.
Because children used to work 5,000 years ago. It was a different time. Also, people didn't really live beyond the age of like 30, so it was just generally.
That's true.
You know, you got to get working some point. You'll be dead soon.
The card drafting is real straightforward. You're just going to take one of these cards and you're going to put it in the corresponding socket in your village. So this lady here is going to go in my little grain fields, and you can see for every one of these symbols, I'm going to get a little grain. So I have 1 symbol now, but if I had 2, I'd get more, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. For clarity here, we should point out that this is Tom's little area board. We just put it here so you can see it more clearly, but I have my own over here.
Your own little area.
So yes, this is not a kind of worker placement shared area. This
No.
is his individual little village.
My own little town with my own people living in
and
it.
your own trash.
Yes, and my own trash. Because, so let's say I did take a whole bunch of these little grain pieces, I would have to find a spot for them in my little inventory. And oh, all of my 6 slots are full of stuff. Don't worry, it's fine. Whenever you would need to expand your storage, you just slide this little marker along and you put your little tokens in those newly formed spaces. But as you can see in this little top window here, this means I'm going to produce 2 midden every round, which means I'll have to put one of them here, and then, oh no, I need to slide it up again, which means next round I'm going to produce 3 midden. What a nightmare, because at the end of the game, these middens are worth negative points.
Yeah.
And if you get this all the way up here, this slider alone is also worth a whole bunch of negative points. Ooh.
So basically, you just can collect as many resources as you want. You can
Yeah.
keep taking things, but the more stuff you just accumulate, the more midden or just detritus, trash around the edges of it is going to start building up.
Yeah, it's a game about getting resources with purpose. You don't want stuff just lying around. You want to immediately use things, and then ultimately you're going to want to get rid of this midden by taking one of these worker placement actions.
Yes.
I'm not going to go through all of these, but you've got things like furnishing to make your houses a little better and get you more points. You've got stuff like crafting that lets you upgrade the tiles, but my favourite of them is cleaning.
Just clean.
Yep. When you clean, you just remove X amount of midden from your supply. So this one lets me get rid of 3 midden, and then you get to build a little roof. Because at the end of the round, each person in your village needs a roof to sleep under. Or they need food from the campfire, which I think is great. One of the needs to be fulfilled, not
One out of
both.
2, come
Food
on.
or shelter.
Just give me something.
Give me something. That's where this little cook action comes into play, where you can see at the bottom of your board you have a whole bunch of different recipes. So 4 cook points and a cow gets you 2 food, a hide, and 2 bones.
Ooh, tell me something I don't know.
But obviously that's an interesting decision because you're turning 1 resource on your little board into like 5.
Yes.
Do you have the room for that? Are you going to be able to clean it up?
Are you going to have a problem with an ever-expanding collection of stuff?
Yeah, that's sort of all there is to it. It's a game about gathering resources, turning them into making a nice sort of efficient little engine, whilst also managing all of the rubbish that you are creating.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it seems really interesting, and I must say, it says a lot about how much the world has changed. That I can relate to this system of taking too much stuff and filling your house with trash. On the basis of it's a bit like when you go a bit too far on Facebook Marketplace and just keep saying yes to things.
Yeah, when you keep cooking cows on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
I'm also just impressed by how much game they fit in such a small box.
Stinky.
Look at all of this Eurogame on the table and it fits in here. That's crazy.
Cool, and that's Skara Brae.
That is Skara Brae.
And finally, in today's Crunchy Euro video, we've got the chillest one of the bunch, perhaps Wondrous Creatures. Matt, it's a game about going to this magical little island and finding all kinds of little creatures on it that you're going to keep in a little reserve next to you that's going to maybe get you a whole bunch of points at the end of the game.
Oh la 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 la.
I love getting points.
Now-
I love magical creatures.
Same, I love both of these things, and I've got to say, I was immediately drawn to this because of the fact that there are little meeply people that ride
so good.
on the creatures.
They're so good. And they have little magnetized bums.
I don't know if that is that like a deluxe-y version?
No, that's just in the base game. Look. Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
Magnetized bottoms as standard. This is the future that I want
They're
to
really
live in.
treating us.
Yeah.
I was also amazed by just how many cards there are in this game, how many of these creatures there are total to collect. Look at this deck of cards.
Wow.
It is bonkers. And you're just going to be seeing a little snippet of them as you collect these creatures going around this island. So, how does it work? It is a game in which you are one of these different adventurers going away to an island. I'm Gabbert, and I'm this little character.
I'm Octavia, the island's outlaw.
And there you are, on your red little dinosaur thingy.
Her catchphrase is, "It's simple. I want it, I get it." which very much seems like the energy of somebody riding around on a giant lizard dinosaur.
Yeah, that's true. I can believe it. On your turn, you're just going to do one of 4 very simple different actions round and round until the game is over. The one you're going to be doing most of the time is taking one of your crew, which I kind of love because, Mike, that's not a crew member, that's a dinosaur.
Hey, don't diss my crew. These are my crew members and I love them.
You will place one of those onto the board in 2 adjoining hexes, so I could put it here.
Oh, okay. It was me
between.
trying to like kind of put them on one hex and being like, oh no,
They seem a little large. No,
they're supposed to be big.
they're meant to straddle. Then you will take the resources depicted on the habitats around that crew member. So here I will take these little green resources and this little yellow resource from this over here.
Smashing.
Now I can either take that as little stuff to go in my supply, and you count your resources by moving these little tokens along, or you can take cards instead of that kind. So we've got the little green habitat cards over here in the market, the little yellow ones over here, right?
Yeah.
Also, by placing your worker, you might collect these little eggs, and they're going to help you later on for scoring some of these achievements down at the bottom of the board. And that's another one of the actions you can do, score an achievement. If you have the requisite thing down here, then you can take one of your fancy little quills and park it on here, earning you some points, and taking off one of these little trophies, which will give you points at the end of the game, but they're also the timer. When all of these are gone, the game is over.
No more trophies, we've collected all of the animals.
We've collected every single animal in my big backpack. The other thing you can do is play cards from your hand. These are going to cost the things shown over here, and they're going to give you the thing at the bottom.
Sugar Rider.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by how cute this is. It actually reminds me a lot of the little character from Rain World.
Yeah, the slug cat.
Yeah.
There's just tons of them. That's what's crazy, is there's like all of these unique pieces of art, and like some of them are cute, some of them are a little ferocious. I kind of love it. I mean, most of these are just really cute.
I'm usually not super susceptible to cute, but this is getting its claws, its cute little claws
into you. You can play these cards, and they're either going to give you sort of immediate bonuses, or they'll give you end game bonuses. So you're building this sort of engine of different combos, making sure you're playing the right little characters into your reserve next to your board. You also have the ability to, when you are done with all of this stuff, you can refresh or reset or recharge, which is take all of your workers off the board, popping them here, getting a few little gubbins and bonuses along the way, and moving this time track forward. When this gets to the end, it just starts like killing off these trophies. So you thought you were going to say the creatures there. You were looking really scared that I was going to say you just start axing these guys. No, don't worry. It's a nice, cozy, peaceful game.
I'm also a bit distracted by the fact, what happens when the timer gets to the golden egg symbols?
When it gets to the golden egg symbols, you're going to replenish the board with more egg. Put them on the little spaces over here.
It's the egg round.
There's also a little mini game where you're going to put out these habitat tiles throughout the course of the game. They go on these lake spaces, so you kind of make certain spots a little juicier for players as the game goes on. Also, some of the animals you'll draft will get these little ability tokens so that you can use them for little bonuses here and there. And I think that's most of the game. Your little captain, your little dinosaur rider has their own special ability, but you only unlock it once you've realised their potential by achieving one of these things.
By doing something.
By doing something for once.
Gabbo, for goodness sake, Gabbo, do something with your life.
There's all kinds of little characters as well. Like, I just love these little mini representations of the same characters.
Delightful.
They're so sweet. The publisher also sent us some of the expansion stuff. So we have the crew set to start off, which I'll show you first. That adds these new different crew that also have special abilities.
Of course, more crew, i.e. another dinosaur and a giant snail.
It's good stuff.
That's the crew mechanic. Yeah, sure.
I know, right? They give you player powers to the existing ones, but also add new ones into the game. And then you have gargantuan beasts, which adds a bunch of new little creatures. Look at this little guy, Ghost Topaz. Aww. A bunch of new kind of regular creatures that are going to go into the game, but also these gargantuan ones that have real funky powers and new characters. My favourite one is this guy called Nathaniel, who has a six-pack built into his armour.
Well, that's like, what more could you want?
What more could you want in life? I just want to be hugged by Nathaniel. And then finally, upgraded components. You can see them over here on this little side. Nice clinky golden trophies and these little wooden chits for other bits in the game.
But, the base game components, pretty delightful.
Gorgeous.
All round.
Yeah, absolutely. And real cozy, lots of nice art. Yeah, that's Wondrous Creatures, the last game in our little Euro game video.